सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम्. We have completed the analysis of three different types of sannyasas in the previous class. Now we will go to the text proper. Sloka number 7. Niyatasya tu sannyasaha karmano nopapadyate mohattasya parityagaha tamasah parikirtataha. Tu, but niyatasya, the Shastra ordained karmanaha sannyasaha, renouncing the karmas, na upapadyate, not proper, not correct. Mohat, by delusion. Tasya parityagaha, renouncing that kind of karma, that kind of actions which are ordained by Shastra. Tamasa parikirtataha, they are called tamasatyagam. Niyatasya karmanaha tu sannyasaha na upapadyate mohat tasya parityagaha tamasah parikirtitaha. So, whatever is ordained by Shastra, one must perform that. There is no way of leaving them. So, if you renounce the actions ordained by Shastra, that is not proper, that is not correct. Suppose by delusion, if you renounce the karmas which are ordained by Shastra, then such renunciation, satyagam, is called tamasatyagam. So here, Paramatma is going to analyze three different types of sannyasa. So in this context, we are going to see sloka number 7, sloka number 8, sloka number 9 in the same order. So each one talks about the sannyasa, three different types of sannyasa which we have already discussed in the previous class. So the sannyasa requires jnana yogyata prapti. Without jnana yogyata prapti, you cannot take up sannyasa. If your mind is not ready to take up sannyasa, then if it is a sannyasa without proper preparation of the mind, then what type of sannyasa it will be? We have seen the three types of sannyasa, which is called tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. So, in the 17th chapter, when Paramatma talked about the three different kinds of karmas, he talked about sattvika karma, rajasic karma and tamasic karma. The same thing we are seeing in the reverse direction. That means we'll start with the tamasic sannyasam, then we'll talk about the rajasic sannyasam, and finally we will talk about the sattvic sannyasam. This is the order which is reversed by Paramatma in this particular chapter. Before we go ahead, we should remember one particular thing. We should bear it in mind. Paramatma did not differentiate between tyagam and sannyasam. So, he is treating both these words same. So, in this context, we can replace the word sannyasa and say tamasic tyagam, rajasic tyagam and sattvic tyagam. So, the 7th sloka talks about tamasic sannyasam or tamasic tyagam. 8th sloka talks about rajasic sannyasam. And the 9th sloka talks about sattvic sannyasam. Now, tamasic sannyasam we will see. So, Paramatma is reiterating that one must not leave three karmas at any cost. So, what are those three karmas? Karmanaha sannyasaha na upapadyate. Whatever may be the situation, whatever may be the condition, whatever may be the situation, you can say, whatever may be the situation, one must not leave these three karmas. What are those three karmas? Yajnam, Danam and Tapas. So whenever the word Yajnam comes, we should remember the third chapter in this Bhagavad Gita. Paramatma talked about Pancha Maha Yajnas. Daiva Yajnam, Rishi Yajnam, Pitru Yajnam, Manusha Yajnam and Bhuta Yajnam. So these are the things one must perform because they are ordained by Shastra. Niyatasya. Niyatasya means niyata karmas. The karmas ordained by Shastra. They are mandatory. So, supposing people say you do physical exercise for good health, you have to do morning walk, and this is what the advice we see in any TV. Whatever the channel you open, this is the thing we keep listening. And if you don't move an inch, you won't get any benefit. So these are the mandatory things. Every morning you have to get up and do yogasanas and pranayama and all kinds of exercises. So if you want spiritual health, then you must do these three karmas. That is yajnam, danam and tapas. If you say, if I don't take up this yogasana, if I don't do surya namaskara, if I don't do pranayama, if I don't go for morning walk, what happens? Then who is the loser? The pranayama will not lose anything. Physical exercise will not lose anything. Surya namaskaras will not lose anything. Your doctor who advised you to take up the physical exercise, he will not lose anything. The TVs who are advertising on and off and about these exercises, they also will not lose anything. And the newspapers who reiterate this topic, they also do not lose anything. If you do not follow this, who is the loser? You are the loser. You put up weight and you lose ultimately. So same principle will work for yajnam, danam and tapas. So if you do not take up these three mandatory karmas, then Paramatma will not lose anything. Vedam will not lose anything. Gita will not lose a bit of it. And Guru will not lose anything. The only loser is you and you. You will not get the purification of the mind. The Chitta Suddhi you will not attain. Therefore, Paramatma is insisting that one must do niyata karmas. That means yajnam, danam and tapas. So, you cannot renounce, you cannot do tyagam of these three karmas. So, whatever may be the reason, there may be umpteen reasons why you are not doing these three karmas. Like, for physical exercise, they keep on telling various reasons, reason after reason. They can, cook up so many reasons for, avoiding this physical exercise simply out of laziness. So, at the same time, they will be eating sweet after sweet. They will not take up any exercise. So, what happens? They will pick up weight. And not only picking up weight, it will lead to all kinds of health issues. So, this is how these people who escape, who avoid these three karmas, they keep giving various reasons. In those reasons, this ignorance is one. Just like if you ask someone why you are not going for morning walk, they give different reasons. If you do not move your limbs, then you are the loser. It will create a lot of problem in the health. So here they do not take up sattvic karmas because of ignorance, because they do not know the value of sattvic karmas. Mohattasya parityagaha. So some people, they renounce sattvic karmas because of delusion, because of ignorance, because they do not know the value of sattvic karmas. So why this ignorance? Because of tamogunam, because they are dominated by tamoguna. So this is the situation. Tamasa parikirtitaha. So this kind of renouncing karmas, the two sattvic karmas, is called tamasa tyagam or tamasa sanyasam. So the tyagam should not be towards sattvic karmas. One must do sattvic karmas. That is the idea. Merely by having ignorance, they are renouncing niyata karmas. So that is called tamasic sannyasam. So if you take up a sannyasa, then this is called Vedanta Bodha. Then he will get chitta suddhi, and he will not get those who renounce these three karmas. They do not understand Vedantam. They cannot understand a bit of Advaita Vedantam, because he left the simple way of getting purity of mind. He left Karma Yoga, and his situation will be horrible if he takes up Advaita Vedantam. So we will see sloka number 8. दुःखमित्येव यत्कर्मा कायक्लेशभयात् त्यजेत् सकृत्वा राजसं त्यागं नैव त्यागफलं लभेत्. Yaha, whoever, yet karma, the ordained karmas, the ordained duties, dukkham eva iti, because they cause a kind of trouble. Kaya klesa bhayat, because they create a kind of pain in the body. Tyajet, they will leave it. Saha, such person, rajasam tyagam. So such person is renouncing, and his renunciation is called rajasatyagam. Rajasatyagam, rajasam tyagam krutva. By doing this rajasatyagam, tyagaphalam nayeva labhet. So such persons, they are not entitled for the benefit of tyagam. Yaha dukkham iti matva eva et karma kaya klesa bhayat tyajet saha rajasam tyagam krutva tyagaphalam nayeva labhet. So whoever does this karma, which is karmacharanam, which is ordained, that is because of dukkha karakam. So they are leaving these karmas because they are scared of body pains. Rajasatyagam. Tyagaphalam, they are not getting. So rajasika sannyasam, rajasika pravrutti, if a person is having, then he is also not having chitta suddhi, that is means the purity of the mind. So he will also leave sattvic karmas, because he cannot, he doesn't want to cause pain to the body. He doesn't want to toil. He doesn't want to create any kind of, disturbance to the body. So this is called tamasic pravrutti. Earlier we talked about tamasic pravrutti, which is due to ajnanam. Now this kind of person is having dehabhimanam. He is having lot of abhimanam towards his body. He doesn't want to toil. He doesn't want to create any pain to the body. Kaya klesa bhayat tyajet. Because of lot of fancy, lot of abhimana towards the body, he doesn't want to do any exercise. He simply wants to stay, without doing any exercise, just like a lazy person. So this person, he doesn't want to create any kind of pain to his body. Exercise will cause pain, but that is for good. But this person doesn't want even that pain because of abhimanam towards the body. Sharira abhimanam. Dukkam ityeva. So he thinks it causes lot of pain. So I won't do it. Even if the karma is very, very meager, he will find some lame excuse or other and try to avoid these nivihita karmas. So this is the state of the rajasic pravrutti. Saha krutva rajasam tyagam. Because he renounced sattvic karmas, his renunciation is called rajasic sanyasam. Because of this renunciation, he is not entitled to the karma phalam. Though he renounced karmas, not out of real vairagyam, but out of laziness, out of fancy towards his body. So even if he wants to take sannyasam, such person, he cannot fit in the sannyasa asrama. He cannot get jnana, especially advaita jnana, because he is a person who is having lot of abhimana towards the body. So he is not a fit candidate for sannyasam. Tyagaphalam naiva labhet. So even though he renounces the sattvika karmas, so he cannot get the phalam, even though he takes up sannyasa by renouncing sattvic karmas, because there is no purity of mind for this kind of person. So without chitta suddhi, one should not take up sannyasa. This is what Paramatma is warning. So a person with tamasic pravrutti and a person with rajasic pravrutti, they are not fit for sannyasa, because both are doing this renunciation, because a tamasic person is renouncing karmas because of ignorance. Rajasic person is renouncing karmas because he gives excessive importance to the body. Then we'll proceed to sloka number 9. Karyamityeva yat karman yatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam cheva satyaga satviko mataha. Arjuna, O Arjuna, niyatam yat karma karyam eva. O Arjuna, whatever is ordained, so you take up the karma, and even you are renouncing the sattvic karmas, even though they are to be performed. Then sangam cha phalam tyaktva kriyate. So if you renounce the sattvic karmas also, by you do, O Arjuna, niyatam yet karma karyam eva. So some people, they take up sattvic karmas, but then sangam cha phalam tyaktva kriyate. They renounce the karma phala and the sangatvam towards the karma phala. So see the difference. They are not leaving the sattvic karmas, they are performing the sattvic karmas, but then they are renouncing the karma phala, and the karma phala sangatvam they are renouncing. So such persons, the tyaga or sannyasa is called sattvic tyagam or sattvic sannyasam. Hey Arjuna, karyam iti matva eva et niyatam karma sangam phalam cha eva tyaktva kriyate saha tyagaha sattvikaha mataha. O Arjuna, whoever leaves the karma phala and performs the sattvic karmas, they are not having any attachment towards the karma phala. They do not have sangatvam towards the karma phala. They renounce the karma phala and they perform the sattvic karmas. Such a tyagam, such renunciation is called sattvika tyagam. Satvika Sanyasam. So this person is also not ready. Is also not having Chitta Suddhi. Like the other two, Rajasic persons and Tamasic persons. But the difference is, he knows these three karmas like Yajnam, Danam, Tapas, they are very important. They cannot be renounced. They cannot be renounced at any cost. So, depending on the level, you can take up the sadhana. So, Shastram gives various levels of teaching. So, Sattvic person knows whatever he wants. He wants moksha. If he wants moksha, he should understand Atma Jnanam. He should know what is Atma. For that, he needs Chitta Suddhi. If he wants Chitta Suddhi, the purification of the mind, he must perform Sattvic karmas. This kind of clarity this Sattvic person is having. So, unlike a Tamasic person and who is having ignorance and the Rajasic person who is having excessive abhimana towards the body, so this person, he performs the karmas and he is not forgetting his laksham. His laksham is moksham. So if he does the sattvic karmas, he knows that he can get chitta suddhi. By getting chitta suddhi, he is entitled for atma jnanam. So he gets that yogyata for atma jnanam. So that is the difference. Karyam iti eva, I must do these ordained karmas, sattvic karmas, panchamaha yajnas, yajnam, danam and tapas I must perform. It is not simply to appease my teacher or to appease the God or to appease Shastra. It is only my spiritual growth I am doing this. All these sattvic karmas are mandatory. So with this clarity, this person is taking up the karmas. So if you compel somebody to do exercise, he will do it only for a few days and then leave it. If he understands the value of it and if he has clarity about the exercise, so for a person who is having Rajasic pravrutti, he is having Dehabhimanam. So he knows that if he has to do work, he has to toil and cause pain to the body. Whereas a sattvic person, he doesn't mind toiling. He doesn't think that it is an unnecessary thing because he loves to respect the Shastra. Whatever is ordained by Shastra, he will do it with love and Shraddha. And he doesn't look for he doesn't have any attachment to the karma phala. So this is the difference. Karyam iti eva, because these are the mandatory things I must do. So all sattvic karmas he will perform. So all pancha mahayajnas he will do. It is not just to satiate his guru or to respect Shastra. It is only for his spiritual upliftment he is doing. So this is the understanding. This is the clarity a sattvic person will have. So niyatam karma kriyate. He does all the niyata karmas, all the karmas which are ordained, like yajnam, danam, tapas are the niyata karmas, the karmas which are ordained by Shastra, and he does it. He keeps on increasing the sattvic karmas. So he wants a house, he wants money. So these are the Rajasic karmas. He does Rajasic karmas also along with Sattvic karmas. When compared to the Rajasic karmas, Sattvic karmas are more. Rajasic karmas are less. And Tamasic karmas are almost negligible. So if you look at some companies, they reap profits. They are on the profitable side. But some of the profits or the portion of the profit, they use it for the good of the society. They see that they donate to the hospitals, they donate to the schools, and they donate to the Vedic schools. Like that, they allocate some portion of the profit to the welfare of the society. So, like that, he is towards the para-upakara karmas. So, he does the ordained duties with a mindset that he is doing for the welfare of the society at large. So, in one side, he is doing karmas, and he's calling it as sattvic sannyasam, sattvic tyagam, because he's doing karmas, no doubt, but karma phalam he's renouncing. Whatever be the karma phala, it may be in his favor or it may not be in his favor. He is not worried. Sangam tyaktva. Sangam tyaktva means without having any attachment towards the karma phala, he is doing the karmas. So, phalam chaiva. Phalam chaiva means karma phala will be two types. One is the spiritual growth. One will give you the spiritual growth because he is doing para-upakara karmas. The other will give you the laukika phala, like he may get name and fame. So, he is not worried about the benefit. So, supposing you have the mango tree. The mango tree will give you the mango fruit, that is the direct phala. The second phala, the avantara phala, is it will give you the shade, it will keep the atmosphere very cool, and it will give you good oxygen. So, like that, it gives certain avantara phalas. So, this is the advantage if you take up the ordained duties. So, he will not brood if he is getting the karma phala not in his favor. So, sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva saha tyagaha satviko mataha. So, if one does the karma without having any sangatvam, without having any attachment, if one does niyata karmas, then such karmas, they are called sattvic karmas. Then this is what one should feel. One should do the yajnam, dhanam and tapas and renounce the karma phala. This is what we call sattvika karmas. In the 9th chapter, we can get a rider from this. Sattvika sannyasam is doing the karmas without expecting mundane benefits. If the benefits come, it is okay. If it doesn't yield any mundane result, it is okay. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samobhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. This is 2nd chapter, 48th sloka. Similarly, in the 3rd chapter, 30th sloka, Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyadhyatma chetasa nirasi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatadjvaraha. So, in these two slokas, Paramatma defined karma yoga. Sangam tyaktva, this is the word he used. That means Sangam tyaktva, this is the word he used in the 2nd chapter. Nirasi nirmamo bhutva, this is the word he used in the 3rd chapter. Now, this is all about karma yoga. Now he is giving a new title. In this particular chapter, he is calling the same karma yoga as sattvic sannyasam. Because Arjuna is keen on leaving the war field. So, Arjuna thinks that he is smarter than Paramatma, but Paramatma is, much superior. So, he is advocating the same karma yoga with a new name. He says, he calls it as a sattvic sannyasam. So, In Shastra, this is called Gauna Sanyasam. So, the karma, therefore, the karma yogi will have the peaceful mind. He will not expect anything. So, whatever comes, he will accept it as Ishvara Prasadam. So, Sattvika Sanyasam is equal to Karma Yogam. So, a person who does Pancha Mahayajnas and Yajnam, Danam and Tapas and renouncing the Karma Phala, if he does it, then it is called Sattvika Sanyasam. So, with this, we have completed the 3 types of sannyasa. Now, slokas 10 to 12 talks about the Karma Yoga analysis. So, this is what we are going to see now. Paramatma renamed Karma Yoga as Sattvik Sannyasam in this particular chapter. So, we will try to study Karma Yoga in detail. This is discussed in slokas 10, 11 and 12. So, the analysis of this will just go through and then take the text proper. So, Paramatma said that Sannyasam and Tyagam are both, and Sattvika Sannyasam is nothing but Karma Yoga. So, Karma Yogi must know what is Dharmam, what is not Dharmam. So, he takes up a dharmic life, a religious life, a life full of Dharma. So, in order to continue his life, he has to pay tax. In the same way, if he wants to live in a Vedic lifestyle, then he has to fulfill certain dharmas. So, the first and foremost responsibility is towards the body. There are certain dharmas, there are certain duties which he has to perform for the body. That means he has to maintain his body and keep the body fit and alive, fit and agile. So, he should take proper food. He should not say, I don't want to eat. So, taking food is a very natural thing. And excretion is also a very natural thing. So, in the same way, we should take food, healthy food. We have to excrete, get rid of the impurities in the body. We have to take bath every day. We have to do exercise every day. All these come under the physical or body-wise dharmas. If you follow these body-wise dharmas, then only you will be healthy. So, if you neglect them, then you have to bear the punishment called ill health. Some kind of disease you have to bear. So, in order to avoid ill health, in order to avoid diseases, one must maintain the Saririka dharmas, the body-wise dharmas. Then, as a Gruhastha, he has got certain duties, Gruhastha dharmas. For example, towards his children, he has to, bring up the children properly. You have to teach them values. You have to see that they write exams in time. If they don't understand certain things, we have to learn and teach them. There are certain things which we have to follow meticulously when you are bringing up the children. We have to observe them carefully. We have to give them sufficient food. Then we have to encourage them to study. Sometimes we have to give them certain gifts so that they can excel in their examinations. So like that, there are certain duties for a Gruhastha. A Gruhastha must follow these dharmas. As a citizen, also we have got certain duties. As a citizen, also we have got certain duties. When you are in a particular country, the country ordains, the country imposes certain duties on you and you have to follow them. So, as a citizen, I have to follow the dharmas, like, I have to pay tax in time. As a karma yogi, the first and foremost thing is you don't say this particular thing I like, this I don't like. There's no question of dividing the duties as your likes and dislikes. When it is ordained on you by law, or when it is ordained by dharma, you have to perform without having your choice. I like it, I don't like it. No question of division like this. So, if you keep dividing things like, I like this, I don't like this, then the duties which you don't like, you have to do it because they are ordained by dharma. It will be very tough to handle them. So, there will be a conflict in the mind. So, as a karma yogi, you have to give up this ishtam and anishtam. Don't label any work ishtakamyam and anishtakamyam. So, even a sannyasi cannot escape duties. Like, our Swamiji, many people, they want to meet him and talk to him. He cannot avoid. He has to give them certain time and, see that they are, happy. So, he cannot say, don't meet me. So, this will be a disturbance for his solitary moments. He cannot have a personal time. So most of the time somebody or other will come and disturb him. So a karma yogi cannot renounce karma. So only thing is, if you want to have a peaceful life, so you have to do the work as a part and parcel of your life. This is my kartavyam. So if you are taking up some job, you don't do it as a duty. If you do it as a responsibility, then you will have no issue at all. In this case, Swamiji, he wants to share an example. So in one school, the management of that school wants Swamiji to address the school teachers so that they understand the culture and they will learn the value system. This was the idea of the management. So the management requested Swamiji to teach them the value system. But unfortunately, the classes were after the school hours. The school will be over by 4 or 5. So immediately after the school hours, they are asked to stay for about an hour or so and listen to Swamiji. So all the teachers, they are totally, enervated and their mind is totally out of control. They want to go home. But because management insisted, they were sitting out of pressure from the management. They were looking here and there, they were looking at the watch and all that. So all the body language, it tells Swamiji that they are not interested in the speech. So this is very important. If you take up a work, if you do it as a responsibility, if you love that work, it will be wonderful. If you do it without Shraddha, it is a horrible thing. You should not take it up. So Swamiji also had such an experience. So he says that you have to have an audience who is committed and who is interested in listening to the lecture. Luckily, Swamiji is now having a wonderful audience across the globe listening to him and learning the knowledge. So, Karma Yogam or Sattvic Sanyasam, when a person follows, he is not having the purity of mind in the beginning. So, he should understand he is doing it for the purity of the mind. He is not already purified. The mind, the Chitta Suddhi, he has to attain. Still that stage is not, still he did not get the stage of Chitta Suddhi. So, he is doing the Sattvic Karmas or Niyata Karmas or Karma Yogam for the sake of Chitta Suddhi and Chitta Ekagrata. So, some people, when they come to Vedanta, they say, I am Akarta and Abhokta. and they don't go to temples and they stop doing puja and all that. So Paramatma is saying don't do that. Because you have to purify your mind. You have to see that your mind is totally purified, and if you have an expanded mind, then you can slowly reduce these things and increase your work while learning Vedanta. So don't totally avoid puja and going to temples and all that, because they all help you in increasing your chitta suddhi and the expansion of mind. Now, here, Paramatma said that Sattvika Sannyasam is equal to Karma Yoga. So, the doubt may come how Sannyasam word can be used here. In Karma Yoga, they are not renouncing. While taking up Karma Yoga, they are not renouncing Yajnam, Dhanam and Tapas. They are perfectly performing Yajnam, Dhanam and Tapas. Then, when you use the word Sannyasa, they have to renounce certain things. So, for this, Paramatma is answering. So, the first thing is they renounce anxiety. They renounce the pressure in the mind. So, a Karma Yogi will renounce the anxiety towards the future. Whenever you are taking up an action, you are worried about the future. What will be the result? Will it come in my favor or will it not? So this kind of anxiety will be there. A person who does certain things, he is always having this kind of pressure about the future. The future anxiety will not be there for a Karma Yogi. For example, as a father, he does whatever he could. He will create a proper ambience. He will join the children in a very good school. He will buy all books and dresses and whatever is required for the children, he will do it. But he cannot influence them. The influence of TV, influence of the school, influence of the schoolmates, then friends, and the society will be there. So a father cannot influence, father cannot have a control on these factors. So sometimes the children may bunk school and they may go to cinemas and they may go to certain places like picnics and all that. Not everybody will do that. There may be certain children who misuse the benefits given by the parents. So you cannot pinpoint, you cannot dictate the future of the children. Because you cannot dictate the future of the children, you cannot leave your responsibility. You have to fulfill your responsibility. This is what we call Karma Yoga. Karma Yogi does the work with Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and receives the Karma Phala as Prasadam, Ishvara Prasadam. Karma Yogi is equal to Ishvara Arpana Buddhi plus Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. So, as a Karta, you have to perform your duty. And when you are doing the duty, you do it dedicating it unto the God. As a Bhokta, whatever you are enjoying, that Bhoktrutvam is not in your hand. So whatever comes, you accept it with a smile as a Ishvara Prasadam. So this is what we have to understand. The second thing is he will renounce Bandhakatvam. So Karma Yogi, though he is into all kinds of prayers and Daiva Karyas and all that, but he will not totally having a bondage towards that. He does it with Shraddha, no doubt in that. All the duties are non-binding for him. Non-binding in the sense the result, if it is not in favor of him, he will not brood. So that kind of asangatvam will be there. So he does all this in order to get chitta suddhi and jnana yogyata prapti. So this is the second thing. He does this renouncing bandhakatvam. then he will have the sattvic antakarana. A karma yogi does work with a kind of compassion, with a smile in the face. He will not brood, why should I do this? Why me? Like that he will not do it. Suppose he has to stand in a queue for quite long time, he will do it with happiness. Supposing you have to send your children abroad, you have to stand in queue for hours. So he does all this with happiness. So this is what we have in Karma Yoga. This Karma Yoga, we should have that Sattvic Antakarana. So if you have the Rajasic mind, you will have bondage towards the Karma Phala. If you have Tamasic mind, you will not do the work, you will avoid the work. So Karma Yogi will have Sattvic Antakarana, a Sattvaguna Pradana. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistre Gunyo Bhavarjuna Nidvando Nityasattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. If you want to stay in Sattvaguna, you should not have any kind of hatred towards karma. You should not have bondage towards the karma. So this is what we should know. And regarding the phalam, so karma phalam, karma yogam, when you are performing, you are bound to get some phalam. So what is the phalam you get if you perform karma yogam? You get jnana yogyata prapti. Earlier the mind is prakruta manas. Now it becomes a samskruta manas. It becomes refined. So after refinement, he can reduce yajnam, dhanam and tapas. Until the time his mind is refined, he cannot leave the karmas. This you must bear it in mind. So how do you know whether the mind is refined or not? This can be understood by two different aspects. One, you know the value of Vedanta. So if your mind is refined, then only you know the value of Vedanta and you stick to Vedanta. You stay for long in Vedanta. So you want to know about Brahma, you want to know about Atma. So you stick to Guru consistently for a long period of time because you know the value of it. And if and only if you are having the jnana yogyata, your understanding gets better. Earlier you were simply listening to Vedanta, but nothing is going into the mind. So it was all, a mechanical action. Now, after getting this jnana yogyata, whatever Guru says, it goes directly into the mind. So, one thing is, you stick to Vedanta. Second thing is, you understand Vedanta. So, yadahi nendriyardeshu na karma swanushajyate sarva sankalpa sanyasi yoga rurastadochyate. So, the Vedanta is the topmost priority for you. If you have that kind of mindset, if your topmost priority is Vedanta, then you are fully qualified. You got the jnana yogyata. But then you cannot totally renounce karmas. So people think that I got the jnana yogyata, so this is the time now I can renounce the karmas. No, that is not proper. So you can reduce the work slowly and try to increase your free time. Whenever you get free time, the free time is not to see TV or not to go to a movie and all that. The free time is for nididhyasana, to stay in the teaching. Whatever is taught by the teacher, you try to recollect and stay in that nishtha. So that is what we have. So the duties you cannot totally renounce. That's what Paramatma said. Nobody can totally renounce the karmas. Even if you take up sannyasa, you cannot renounce the karmas. You have to go for bhikshatana and you have to keep your body fit and agile and you have to take bath. So like that, there are certain karmas one has to perform when one is in this body. So, totally not doing any work, it is not possible when you are alive and kicking. So, karmas totally you cannot avoid. So, you have to reduce the karmas as far as possible and increase the Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasnam. This is what we have to understand. We can modify the work, we can reduce the work, but we cannot totally avoid the work. So Chinmayananda ji tells this very beautifully. As long as you have this body, there are so many works we have to do it. We have to take oxygen, we have to take water, we have to eat. There are umpteen works we have to do it, without which we cannot survive. So nobody can live without doing work. We have got Pancha Mahayajnas. We have to do those Pancha Mahayajnas. Ranams, there are Rishi Ranam we have to fulfill, Devaranam we have to fulfill, Pitrunam, Manishirunam, Bhotarunam. So for all the five elements, we are indebted. So we have to do our duty towards them. So this is what we have to understand. Then in Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, 47th sloka, Paramatma said, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhu mate sangosva karmani. You have the right to do the work, but you don't have authority to dictate the karma phala. Vai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nidasi nirmamo bhutva idyasya vigata jvaraha. So, whatever that comes to us, we have to accept it as Ishvara Prasadam. If you are not a karma yogi, what is the loss we are going to get? So, if you are not a karma yogi, then such person is called karmata. So, he is totally into the work, and if the result is not in favor, he is totally wavered and he is totally upset. And while doing work also, he has that fear. And out of that fear, sometimes he will give up the values also. And he resorts to adharma because he is so fanatic about the karma phala. So he is worried about the result. He compromises with the vartamana and he takes up a valueless life. Value-based life he lives. So he gets three types of karma phala. Anishtam. Anishtam means he gets papam. Ishtam means punya phalam. Mishram means he gets the combination of both punyam and papam. When he gets this type of karma phala, he is into this cycle. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Like that, he continues in the life cycle. So with this background, we will try to study sloka 10, 11 and 12. Om Tatsat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudatyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.